Hey everyone, this is your girl SC Bookgal 843, and it is another Tuesday night. Tonight, actually, today, actually, in Charleston, it's the first day of school. Oh my God. Welcome back to school, and some of you guys, welcome back to the library. We hope your first day was great. You know, all the jitters. I called my two little broke besties. I talked to their mom, but when I get off the podcast, I called them, texted them, and I got my older nephews, my oldest and the middle one, call and check on them. But happy first day. So I know you often say, "Oh, Treese, what book we gonna have tonight? What author we gonna have tonight?" But unfortunately, because of the first day of school, our author had to cancel. Mwah. But always remember, it's your chance to get to know me. So the last time we did this show, I had questions that were submitted from another author friend. And now I'm going to go ahead and answer the one that I didn't get a chance to answer, okay? But if you have a question for me, go ahead and submit it in the chat. It'll appear on the stream and I'll answer your question, okay? So, little background, SC Book Gal 843. I live in South Carolina in the 843 area code. So that's how that came together. Loving mother of two, a 23-year-old male, my oldest boy, and the 10-year-old diva who's been clowning me about my age because she's learning about the civil rights era. So every day there's some joke about my age. Today, she came to me and she had this book. And she said, "Mommy, do you know any of these people in the book?" I said, no, not really. Well, this was in 19 something and another. She said, "Weren't you alive back then?" You know what? I'm through with you again. Every time it's a back then, older, and she liked to talk about my gray hair. So that's where we are. So we do have a question. And the question said, "What inspired you to start your book blog? And how has it evolved since you began?" Ooh, when I first started my book blog, Lord, it has to be it's been a long time. Once again, close to maybe somewhere in the range of 5 to 10 years. It's been a while. Let's just say that my reviews were not as in depth as they were. Um, it started off, this book was good. I recommend this book. I like the cover. But as you study your craft or um, let's say pay attention to what you're doing and give more thought to details, and it expounded. Um, I now interview authors. I give them the chance to have a podcast interview or blog interview. So that's one of the things to change. Um, it's going to change again. I'm going to start doing pieces, just randomly giving you guys the thoughts about the book industries. Okay, so that's one of the things that has changed. Um, I'm just wanting to be more consistent, which is on me, you guys. So that's, I would say, has been the biggest change. Okay. Ooh, this one is a good question. Do you prefer physical book, ebooks, or audiobooks, and why? Ebooks. Physical books, not too often. I will read them if they're given to me, and if that is how you would like me to review your book, I will do a physical book. I am an ebook person. Why? Because I can carry that book anywhere. As long as I got a phone or some type of electronic device, I can do and read, do the review, or read the book. Audiobooks is the last thing I want to do. I have a tendency to, when I'm reading, I hear the voice. And if the voice does not match the voice of the audiobook in my head, then that's like a done deal. I remember reading a street lit book. I turned around and listened to the book. The voice was white. No offense, none whatsoever. But the way it was read, it just didn't correlate with the book. And I did speak to the author about that. And she said, I was wondering, I just chose an automated voice. I was like, well, you need to redo that. So, me, I'm an ebook girl. Okay. The next question I have is, let's see. Oh, here it is. It says, how do you choose what books to read and review? That's on you, you guys. That is on the author to send me the book, the request a review. I am working with another group, um, and she sends me books. And how the way she does it is she sends me a synopsis of a bunch of books, and I choose the ones I want to read. There are some authors that will contact me and say, "Hey, I would like you to do a review on my book." Um, the only books I will not do a review on is those of fantasy, mystery, and sci-fi. I will try if the author really, really, really wants me to do it, but I kind of shy away from those books. And the reason because it's not my strongest genre to read. And I do want to give more to it, but it just doesn't hold my attention. And I do not want to fault the author for that. Okay. So, how do you choose what book to review? You send it to me, or you can get the publisher to send it to me. But long as the request is sent to me and it's not those three, I'll be happy to review them. Okay. Our next question, you guys. This one is kind of hard for me because I don't know what I would say, but I'm going to let y'all see the question. It says, what's one book you think everyone should read at least once in their lifetime? One book everyone should read. I know this is going to sound really, really cliche to you guys, but of course, I'm going to say the Bible. Um, that's just one book that's going to guide us through everything, especially with the craziness that's going on nowadays. Um, as a child, I would feel that that book would be the Three Chinese Brothers. Or was the Five Chinese? Three or five, one or two. That book was very profound as a kid. Um, as a tween and young adult, The Skin That I'm In. Okay. I'll put those ones up on my blog. I think that's great. Um, Next week, I'm going to have a blog of great back to school reads. But those would be the books, you guys. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, Here's my next question. This question says, who are some of your favorite authors and what draws you to their work? I did away with favorite authors. I know you thinking like really, Patrice. I really did away with favorite authors. The reason being is there's too many. um, but if I have to choose a favorite book that stuck out to me, and I just saw this book for the first time in a while, and it's called "Stand Your Ground" by Victoria Christopher Murray. Stand your ground, and it exactly how it says. Okay, um, I do recommend that book. Um, but I do not have a favorite author. But if I have to recommend five to read, of course it would be any of the divas in the crew. Trevita, Angela, Latanya, Black Diamond, um, Alma, who now has a coloring book. Congratulations. I would recommend them. I recommend Keith Kareem Williams, um, Teresa Patterson. Who else would I pick? Treasure Hernandez and Sharon Draper. And if you notice, only two of those books are mainstream because I'm really not a fan of mainstream authors. Okay. All right. There's one author who everybody has read. She's very mainstream. But I just feel that sometimes the mainstream authors kind of loses their audience because they're like, "Hey, I just put this book out there. You're going to read it and go on about her happy merry way." I do remember wanting to read a book by this mainstream author, and she said on not a television, a radio broadcast that I don't care if people don't like my book. I've already gotten paid for it. Well, I won't be reading your book because that means you didn't put the love into it. You didn't put the care into it. You didn't, nurture the book. You just put something together and ran with it. So those are some of my authors I would recommend that you read. Ooh, this is a good question, you guys. And this kind of piggybacks off the um, how do you choose what books to read and review? The question says, do you stick to specific genres or read widely across different ones? I am a culprit of the stick to the genre I love. And that is bad as a book reviewer. That is very bad. But I don't want to give the wrong review for a book because I'm not liking this genre. So that's why I said when I review books, I kind of stay with the genre that I love. Um, so widely across different ones, I really can't. I remember I had a coworker, I told her to go on the shelves, choose a book, and I would read the book. She chose an Amish book. I looked at her like, who you playing with? That ain't gonna cut it. You can put that book back on the shelf. I had one coworker give me a mystery book. Couldn't get into that. So I am really urban romance, erotica, street lit, contemporary. Uh, I will do some young adult. Um, I love children's books, but yeah, I'm really like specific dramas. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Um, okay, this question is a great question. The reason why I say it's a great question is because I get this a lot when it comes to reviewing books, and I do understand why the authors would ask me this question. And the question is, How do you handle reviewing a book you didn't enjoy? I will never, ever, ever give a 1-star review. Even if your book has spelling or grammar errors, as you can tell, I'm not a proper speaker. So if you have those issues in your book, I may deduct some point, but I will never give a 1-star. Okay. I think the lowest I've ever done has been 3. Okay. I feel no book should deserve 1 star. And the reason for that is because it's your blood, sweat, and tears. Okay. Giving somebody a 1 star is somebody cooking you water. Okay. Nobody's going to, well, I hope nobody cooks you water, but that's my equivalent of a 1 star. Okay. Even if I do a 3 star, I will pre-email the author and said, here's the issues that are inside your book. And I will give them the opportunity to say, would you like me to post a review or would you like me not to post a review? Some authors say, I would love for you to post a review. I would like to make the changes. And then I would like you to reread the book. I've had that happen. And it was the second time around, it got 4.5 stars because they really paid attention to the things that I said in the review. So, there are books that I do not enjoy that I review, but you will never get under a 3 star. That's just totally disrespectful if you get any lower than that. Okay? This one says, what is the most memorable interaction you have with an author or a fellow book lover? This was crazy, you guys. I was at work and this young lady came to me and she was like, I've seen you before. I said, oh, yeah, I've been here, at this location 13 years. She's like, no, 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 no. I've seen you before. And I was like, okay. The child comes up to me and said, you were the lady that read that book about the monster in the back of the book. I said, yeah. I said, I read it at a school. I said, so I guess you go to Goodwin. He's like, yeah. Do you have that book here? I said, well, I do not, but you know what I'll do? I'll get that book and have it come to this library for you. So we put the book on hold. The child had to be somewhere between 6 and 8 years old. Okay. So we put the book on hold. They left. They came back about 2, 3 days later. And he came and he showed me the book. I got the book. I said, but do you remember there's a monster at the end of the book? He said, shh, don't tell mommy. She's never had it before. I said, okay, so you're going to read the book to mommy or you're going to have mommy read the book to you? And he was like, well, of course he can't read. I said, well, don't doubt him. I said, you guys can read it together. And they did read it together. And she came back and she said, thank you. And he was just the sweetest little one. Oh my God, he was so cute. That was the best interaction I've had from a kid. Now, from an adult, I have this one patron who always calls me the black girl with the book. And when she comes in the library, the first thing she says to me is, hey, baby. That's how she talks. And I'm like, how are you? She said, girl, I need them thuggy books. That's me, the thuggy books. Girl, yeah, the one my son don't want me reading. I love her. I haven't seen her in a while, so I hope she comes in pretty soon. But she's the older lady, about in her late 60s, 70s. Don't give her nothing spicy. She does not want to read the spicy books. She just want the thuggy books. So those were some memorable interactions that I've had with fellow book lovers. I'm going to take one more question. And Here's that question, you guys. How do you balance reading for pleasure with reading for content creation? I do not read for content creation. That doesn't make any sense to me. I read for pleasure, and that pleasure turns into content creation. So no, I do not read for content creation. Now, if this question is saying if I'm reading like factual, I'm not a nonfiction type person. I've read some biographies, but I think the last nonfiction book I read was um, Girl Fix Your Crown by Queen Latifah. But I'm not a big, excuse me, I'm not a big nonfiction fan. Okay. So my reading is really just for pleasure or reviewing, and reviewing is my pleasure. So if we're talking about reading for content creation, no. So what I'm reading is the content. That pleasure is the content. So yeah. So that is my last question for tonight, you guys. Just remember, I'm going to be here every Tuesday night. Now, next week, I think that's my triple header. I think I got 3 authors coming to you guys next week. That is going to be a lot of fun. If you wanted to get your book reviewed by me, contact me. I am SC Bookgal 843 or SC Bookgal and Friends across all social media. The only one I don't have is Blue Sky, and there's another one that I do not have. Some new one. Lemon 8. Yeah. But everything is SC Bookgal 843, just how it sounds. And um SC Bookgal and Friends. So I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. And we have a website at www.scbookgalsandfriends.com. So fill out the request, inbox me or email me, and we'll fit your review in. Okay. Also, remember, I'm going to be on every Tuesday night, like I said before. And what else? What else? What else we got going on? Oh, I have 2 birthday shout outs, you guys. So the first one, they're both named Jackie. Okay, ain't that crazy? One of them is from your son, Miss Jackie. LaKendrick says happy birthday, and he can't wait to see you. And also from me, happy birthday, Miss Jackie. And the second Miss Jackie is my aunt, Jackie. Happy birthday. That aunt, you could say she's my mom aunt. She really does mean a lot to me. She take her kids at my own. The only aunt I know calls me 7 o'clock in the morning, even on my day off. So don't call me 7 o'clock tomorrow morning because I'm off in the morning. Call me around about 10:30. But I just want to tell you, ladies, thank you and happy birthday. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being a part of my kids' life. Just thank you for being the strong woman that we know you guys to be. So happy birthday to the Miss Jackies. And you guys, that's it for me tonight. But always remember, there's no such thing as an old book because not everybody has read every book. See you next Tuesday. Good night, everyone. Bye.